From Swoop, it's Take the Plunge, a podcast about how business owners decided to stop what they were doing and took the plunge to start their own businesses. We take a look at how they came to that decision, what those first crucial steps were in getting the business up and running. My name's Kieran, and I'll be your host for this episode. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Darren O'Reilly, founder and CEO of WholeSupp. WholeSupp has quickly carved out a place in the competitive world of nutrition by increasing whole food-based shakes that delivers complete nutrition while cutting plastic use by over 90% compared to traditional brands. Darren has led the company to strong traction across the UK and Europe, with customers praising its blend of health, convenience and sustainability. Backed by a loyal community and partnerships with gyms and wellness advocates, WholeSupp is proving that you can combine purpose and performance in the food sector. We'll explore Darren's entrepreneurial leap, the hurdles of scaling in a crowded market, and what it takes to build a mission-led consumer brand. You're very welcome, Darren. Thanks very much for coming on.
Yeah, lovely intro, Kieran. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Can I take you back to just before WholeSupp started? Like, what were you doing, and kind of where did the itch come from to be like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore, I'd like to do something myself?
Yeah, great question. So originally, my background was always sport. So I played with Leinster and Harlequins. But when I moved into the corporate world, ended up losing 23 kilos in weight. It wasn't on purpose. It was doing like many of us do, kind of skip breakfast or have a meal deal at lunchtime, which is cheap, convenient, but nutritionally disastrous. But that's when I realized that I was really missing the support from really good nutritionists, dietitians, and probably I had everything handed on us to a plate really when we were playing. So it led to losing a lot of weight, looked at the market and was like, okay, how can I solve a problem for myself? Seeing the emergence of some other quite large players in the space. And then my now co-founder, Dr. Brian Carson, I kind of reached out to him on a consultancy base at the start, say, hey, can you reformulate a product? I wanted to be unique compared to our competitors. I want to have 13 superfoods or 13 whole food ingredients, have it really clean, so allergen-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, etc. So open to as many diets as possible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the aha moment started.
Gotcha.
So, but I was working during that period of time, I was working in digital transformation, so helping businesses grow internationally, acquire new customers online and in different geographical locations.
Yeah. Okay, quite a few things to unpick there. Like, first of all, like, how did you already know what 13 superfoods were? If you're how's it going, Brian? Here, by the way, I need you to make me this. Yes. Like, how did you know?
So one that I really wanted was always beetroot. So we used to take beetroot shots before games, and it was kind of drilled into us that they're really good for you because they're high in nitrate. The rest, like broccoli and spinach, and they're good for us, good for we grow up. It's just the greens on the plate. Drilled in.
Finished them.
Yeah, literally finished them. But then I let Brian kind of lead the way. What was the most cutting edge science? Which had the most amount of clinical trials on it? And what dosages did we need to put in the product so that it would actually make an impact on the body? This is another area that I didn't realize. The supplement space is the Wild West in many ways.
Yeah.
It's not regulated enough. So when we started reviewing back a pack, they can be in or out by about 20%.
And that's legit. You're allowed to do that.
That's the Wild West of it, right? So what we wanted to do is like, okay, if we're going to be transparent, we got to get third-party testing. So along the way, so our facility is tested from Informed Standard, but then we send it out to be third-party tested. So all our products is batch tested. So what we say is in our product is in it to the level we say it is, but also it does checks around the quality of the ingredient, but then also fair trade from where we source the products as well. So there's a whole host of complexities in the supply chain to get it to that level, but it's really important for us that we can stand over that now. Yeah.
And as you kind of started exploring the formula with Brian and putting something together, was that always in the intention to, with the intention to set up a business, or did it start to kind of evolve as you started to make the product out?
So, it's a really good question. So originally, I always wanted to do something myself. So fortunate I come from a pretty entrepreneurial family. So my dad had multiple businesses. My mum had her own business. She was like an interior designer, and then she went into making cones and wafers, like in a factory floor, which is amazing. And then my middle brother, James, he was involved in collaborative workspaces. Then he's involved in Lifetime Inc. that went public. Now he's gone on to set up 𝗺𝗵𝗆, which is a contrast therapy business in New York. Then Stephen, my eldest brother, is kind of a serial entrepreneur. He's done multiple restaurants and hospitality ventures. So coming from that, I always had the belief that I could do something, and I really wanted to do it. But I probably needed to build confidence in learning how to, one, motivate people. So like there's a bunch of inherent skills that I've taken from sport across to business. So not everybody's motivated by the same thing. So some people are motivated by more time, having flexibility to work on their own hours. Other people are motivated by money. Other people are motivated by possibility of being promoted. So learning that skill set in another environment, that kind of led me to go, okay, I can do this. Having the family who've done it before, that gave me the confidence. And then realizing that there was a quite significant market being built in the nutritionally complete sector. It's kind of what we see as the protein plus era. So people are looking for high protein, but functional ingredients as well.
Yeah. I think from knowing you, I definitely can see a definite natural fit with entrepreneurialism. Digital transformation, probably not something that would come jump to mind. I suppose when you then decided, right, okay, we're onto something, like, how did you go about going and setting up the business? Like, what were the first couple of steps? Like, did you just go straight to make a product? Did you go out and get people? Like, what did you get up to?
So first of all, we wanted to get the product right. So it took us a very long time to actually get a co-manufacturer that was willing to take us on. So when you look at starting, you want to be able to reduce your MOQs as much as possible. So your minimum quantity orders, get them as low as possible, but also keeping the quality of the product as high as possible. So that's really challenging. So
because I just dig into that, because I must be like parallels, because we've had people on here that've set up restaurants, set up gyms, and like getting that first unit is so hard for them. Is it the same when you're trying to manufacture, like the amount you're able to make for me?
Yeah, exactly. Incredibly difficult, one, to find a partner that's going to take a chance on a startup that has no traction, no previous history, no background in food supplements. So like,
it's a how did you sell them?
Yeah. So like lots of begging and trying to find our way. But we found a partner, and then we needed to get a funding partner. So part of that was looking at Enterprise Ireland. So we ended up becoming a high potential startup with them. So which is great because one, they can give you access to capital at a competitive rate or on a convertible loan note, but also to give a lot of mentorship around giving you access to people who've done it before. So we went down that route. Probably takes a little bit longer, but it took us probably from ideation to selling our first product and having our first production run just shy of 3 years.
Wow.
So bunch of kind of false starts where we were with other manufacturers and then they let us down at the very last minute, that they scaled their MOQs. Then we had packaging issues that went from 10,000 units to 50,000 units, and just the exposure. And like half a business is staying alive. Yeah. Like particularly for the first couple of years, and when you're looking at your own capital outsources. So I bootstrapped the business for the first probably until we got to market, so call it 3 years. Wow. And then we were able to go, once we had a physical product, it was a lot easier to sell what we were doing and what the vision was. But it was capital intensive for myself.
How did you manage that? Like, that's not easy, facing down month on month. And like, I'd imagine there's variable bills coming in there and you still haven't got the product. Like, how did you mentally deal with that?
Yeah, it's tough. Like that was why I held out, have my own job for as long as possible. I was lucky that
digital transformation.
I was lucky that I had a good team there. We were performing well and like being remunerated well. But like, it's dark enough when you're trying to understand when will we have the production line run. That got pushed back a bunch of times because we were the smallest client by a mile at the time. Yeah. Then we had packaging delays, as I mentioned. Then you'd have your website. You think when you get to that point that the Shopify cha-ching will be coming. Didn't come.
Like, how nice is that sound though? When
it never gets old. Beck is here with us today, and we're having a coffee. It went off. I go,
honestly, is there anything better? No, there's not.
It means that something's working. So yeah, like to get the product to market is like a slog, and you think that hurdle's gonna everything's gonna go easy after that. But
you've decided to go into like a super competitive space. Like you only need to look on the high street and see how many Holland Barretts, how many Boots, even you go into your Sainsbury's or Tesco's, the nutrition aisles are only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So how did you get WholeSupp into the eyes of people, not just obviously through those channels, but online as well? Like what?
Yeah. So when you have a product base that people consume, you need to get a lot of social proof.
Yep.
So we leverage some gifting to start off with because we didn't have money to spend on marketing.
Yeah.
So we got people of influence using the product or micro influence, and then got them to start sharing their story, sharing their experiences of the product. Then we started getting as many reviews as possible. And then once we had some capital, we were able to start doing more awareness on Meta, using Google, then now the emergence of TikTok.
Yeah.
But like, it's not easy. So like people, the way I look at it now, when you go into convenience stores of any, so you mentioned Holland Barrett, we go to Sainsbury's, you go to A'Dam, the sugar oil is contracting. So where Coca-Cola used to take up 3 to 4 bays of those sort of sugary drinks, they're now down to 1 or 2. Then you have the explosion of energy. So whether that's Red Bull, Monster,
Celsius,
the coffee drinks, now that's really exploded. Where we are backing and what we see from market data is that functional nutrition is now going to start eating into the energy space, because you're able to get energy from the functionality, but the plus benefits, and that's our biggest play.
But just digging in, so functional, is that going back to what you were saying at the very beginning of, I'm now in a working life, I come from a sporting background where everything was on the plate to me. I knew what I had to eat in the breakfast, I knew what I had to eat in lunch, where functional is coming in is helping people not miss a moment.
Exactly. So just that convenience factor. So if currently our product is in a powdered format, so you just throw 2 scoops in, you make it in 30 seconds, you shake it and you walk out the door, you go to the office or you have it at the desk, wherever the most convenient space is. And we're going to even elevate that further to make it even more convenient, where it's going to be an already made liquid product, and that's going to be on the shelves in the new year, which is really exciting. Very exciting. That's a project and a half, but like that's the next evolution, because people are so time poor. Even if you look at how people respond to emails now, it's like they're responding to a WhatsApp. It's that instant. People don't really have time to be thinking about, and do I agree with the culture of that's the way it's gone? Probably not, but that's the world that we're living in. Yeah. People have young families, busy lives, want to socialize, want to have social connection, they want to go to the gym, they want to have work, they want to continue. It falls
something
down
has to give. Yeah.
Something has to give, and it's generally their food choices. And that's where we believe we're able to give an option for people on their busiest days.
Yeah. And I suppose going into the science then, how do you think about that? So you've got that person who's super time poor, but you want to give them the highest impact possible. How did you get to that formulation? I know you touched on the kind of nitrate aspect. I'm just curious, generally.
So Brian has some clear fundamentals. Fats are really important for you. Protein is really important. So are carbs. And then anything that we add in on top of that needs to actually be there for a reason. So we go back to the organic cherries. Amazing for inflammation. Beetroot, great for blood flow. And we won't go through all the ingredients, but we wanted to have specific ingredients that would actually make human benefits. Mm-hmm. And then we'd stack that up against clinical trials that have already been done, so that we didn't have to do trials ourselves. So we published them on our website just to add that extra little bit of credibility. But Kieran, in all honesty, if your product doesn't taste great, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
The idea of the days of like something that is really good for you has to taste shite. It's gone, basically.
Completely. But yeah, I suppose I haven't even, because I've tasted WholeSupp, and like that is the one thing you notice straight away. Like you talked about it on throw 2 scoops into something, but your memory of like rugby training back in the day, and you stick the 2 creatine and you're like, you knock it back and it's like, oh, that was gross. Whereas actually yours is completely different.
Yeah.
So how did you solve for that?
Yeah, so the iteration of taste profiling is so hard. So I think I'm sure if I told this story before, but basically when we were getting to market, we did a bunch of blind tasting, and they say your family are your best critics. It's not always true. Let's just be honest here. So we sent out a bunch of samples. Like, this is years ago. So. And I said, like, this is the score, blind tasting.
Yeah.
So all the scores are coming in. And somebody put in 0. And I go, for God's sake, who did that? My mum just puts up the emoji. So brutally honest.
Love it.
But thankfully, we're gone a long way on from that. But it's really hard. Like, particularly, you're talking 13 whole food ingredients. You're talking 30 vitamins and minerals on top of that. So mouthfeel, smell, texture, aftertaste, like your mouth sensory is super heightened.
Yeah.
So like, even like, for example, for our next product that we're bringing out, we do like batch sampling over 100 people before they even see the packaging, just to get a sensory on what they feel the mouthfeel is or the taste. And like that data will inform us on how we make our next decision of the product evolution. And then taste is a little bit subjective, of course, but then you need to have different flavor profiles. So we currently have chocolate, vanilla, and caramel sea salt. We are bringing out another more fruity flavor shortly. But like all that adds to capex. And so like as you scale, your costs also go up, but it's kind of getting that.
But it sounds like you're using data though in the right way, even if it's your mum telling you you're drinking shit, to which flavors or which sample, how do people consume things. So like how do you take all that data in and analyze it?
Yeah, we're data nerds. Like everything every decision we make is all around consumer behavior. So one, we're very fortunate that we have like a 69 to 70% returning customer base. So that's double the industry average. On Shopify, average is 30%. So we got really strong foundations. But additionally, we do over 100 phone customer interviews every month. We just ring people up. I ring them up, or we have someone in the team. Thanks for placing an order. Just want to ask you, like, how you find the product. Record them and put them into data sets. And then we also know from from our ads, because at the moment we're probably an 80 or 90% digitally native business. We've now started omni-channel with Holland & Barrett and other retailers. We can tell from headers, from landing page, from where people are going, and then they will ultimately help us make decisions how to market to them, but then also do reviews, surveys, how people are, what they're looking for. So more recently, because people were asking for it, we brought out a cellular hydration and creatine formulation all in one called 𝗿𝗿𝗁. So the idea is you have your superfood milkshake as your foundation, and 𝗿𝗿𝗁 will elevate your day. So the reason why we chose that is all the science around creatine and cognitive function is all there. And then the reality is that 67% of people in the UK are dehydrated. So adding the two of them in together it's a no-brainer. And there's not too many people doing it.
Yeah. And talk to me about the customers. Like, incredible what you're doing in terms of going out, finding that information. But it is a super competitive space that you're in. So how have you thought about educating them or finding them, and have they changed? Because my impression, and I could be completely off the ball here, is I feel like consumers are getting better. They're more educated. They're more willing to like look at ingredients or things like that. But is that just me being subjective, or would that generally be?
No, you're 100% right. So we're really lucky that we have a very loyal customer base, but they're extremely well educated in regards to we do pop-ups at different events all the time. First thing people do is look at back, understand what they're doing. For the good and bad of social media, people are all becoming industry experts. But you need to be able to communicate with your customer. So one way we do it, for example, is we look at emails like currency, because if we're able to get people to sign up to our email, we can bring them through an education flow so that they know what they're consuming, how they may want to use the product. More recently, we're doing a survey now, so people can come on, they say what their goals are, if it's more energy, if it's weight loss, if it's to have a convenient breakfast, whatever the case may be, what their daily habits are. They might walk to the tube, they might be sitting down all day, they might play five-a-side, or whatever the case may be, all that. And then we spit out recommendations to them at the back end. That really helps. Because if they feel like, okay, this is more tailored to what my lifestyle is, because everybody's lifestyle is different.
Awesome.
And like the word, for example, athlete can be anybody from ranging from somebody who's doing a 5K walk at the weekend to somebody who's training every day.
Yeah.
But they want to be perceived to be living a healthy, active lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of our consumer.
Yeah. Nice. And looking internally for a second, you obviously did a huge amount of balancing between your full-time role to get the thing live, going through that huge phase of ideation until you've got a product there. You've now got to look at, like, how do I build a team? How has that experience been in terms of hiring people, finding people?
Yeah, so that is a really good question. So I sometimes actually look at this.
Give us the pain.
There's a lot of pain in there.
Release.
So a lot of it comes down to, like, there's so much hype. So this is the way I look at startups. There's so much hype when you start. You get all the glamorization, and like everybody's high five, you pat you on the back. Then there's the middle. Yeah. Where it's just everybody's fighting. Everybody's looking for the Michael Jordan exit.
Yeah.
So everything else in between isn't that important. But like ultimately we have built a team, and like I've gotten it wrong. For example, when our first hire wasn't a cultural fit. Yeah. Unfortunately had to go within 10 days or whatever.
Yeah, but that's a good move though.
It's a good move, but that's
also most people don't do it as quickly as that. No. Like, that's good that you managed to do that.
And that's the learning from growing a team on somebody else's time in one way, and then also having the experience of like what a team is and what's the fundamentals of the traits you're looking for in your organization. So one is trying to find the right people. It's really hard. Surround yourself with people who have done it before potentially, and then also on the other end, people who are more sponge orientated, that are willing to learn, want to soak it up, that you can actually mold them in. Yeah. And one of the big things that we've been really fortunate is we've got really good advisors who kind of shoot from the hip in their industry leaders, but also people who will dissect things from an outside for what they feel is going on in the business, which is really good to have that sounding board. Yeah. But team dynamics is really hard, but you also need to give people enough room that they can grow themselves and feel like they've taken ownership of like their division, their route to market, or if it's operations, that they have autonomy to go, right, this is our forecast, this is what we need to be doing, and we just sign it off, and you believe that they have ownership of that side of the business. As a founder, that can be really challenging because you feel like you need to be on top of everything. But I think now we're coming up to trading 3 years. So we aren't trading a massive amount of time, but definitely getting the balance of giving people enough rope so that they can do their job a lot more efficiently than I'd be able to. Yeah. I know there's that saying, always hire people who are smarter than you and all that sort of stuff. And it really is true. But it's really difficult at the start. Yeah,
it's very hard because like I always think about it as a football analogy. Like, okay, yeah, you want to be in the Premier League and be able to afford all these Premier League players, but you can't. You're down in the Vauxhall Conference. Yeah. So how do you find that balance of being able to bring people in at level, give them? So
what we've done is we try to keep our fixed costs as low as possible and our variable costs as variable as possible. So, for example, we've brought in talent on 2 days a week. Then when we start to afford them a little bit more, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days.
So never scrimping on the quality, but
no, because if you're able to get higher quality, you're going to get a higher output.
Yeah,
and that's the way we've done it, and it served us well. It means our team is still really lean. Yeah, but I think we're maximizing what we're doing and the output or the revenue line that person's able to bring into the business. And I know you can't always just look at revenue, you gotta look at the profitability, but bringing in people who've done it before, have an IP of understanding this is what we have to test, this is where we need to go, and this is how we're going to get profitable a lot quicker, instead of making the mistakes along the way. And you know, like as a digital business, mistakes is cash generally.
Well, imagine if you're doing a huge amount top of funnel and the costs there, like you need to get those ratios right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the reason why we've looked at the omni-channel route. We're now in Holland Bar nationwide in Ireland, and our poultry rate is great there. Like they're really happy with us, which is amazing. A really good partnership. But that's also helped our online business. It's all flows. Yeah. And people get confidence. They go in and they feel that they buy something there. They have a trusted. The staff, first of all, in Holland Bar are really good. If you go in, you ask them a question. They're really well educated on different products.
Yeah, it's a nice shopping
experience. Yeah, it is, and they've done a big rebrand. So that's helped build more confidence in our consumer, and it also makes us look like a bigger brand because we're in with a bigger retailer, a national retailer. So it gives a little bit of a bit more maturity to what we're doing.
Yeah, but I suppose, how did you find that experience though of selling through a physical channel like that, having probably like a very different type of sell compared to like, okay, I'm going to put this on TikTok shop and I'm going to segment around these data points and come up with this creative, like, versus I need a singular individual to say yes to me on this footprint. Like, how?
Yeah, it's hard. So there's also shelf appeal. So you see with our superfood milkshake, it's more of a green kind of coloring, very natural. A lot of the other products might be white and scientific.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of kind of consumer psychology around that. Particularly in a store like 𝗵𝗿𝗿𝗏, that really works because it pops on shelf.
Yeah.
And then we do a lot of activation around their stores. So, for example, we do like taste testing on the street and then tell them that they can go in and buy it in the store.
Yeah. Which
Which really works. Get great content from it.
Yeah.
And also social proofs it.
Yeah.
And then we kind of do walkthrough buys as well, like have micro-influencer go in, purchase product, understand what the shopping experience is, and then do interviews with the staff in store. So it's kind of
quite interlinked then, because you're using some of the same tactics, and ultimately what's landing you, the 𝗵𝗿𝗿𝗏, the nationwide, is all the content and the thinking that you put into the digital side of things.
Exactly. And then the more you do that, the more the business buys into. So like big organizations like 𝗵𝗿𝗏𝗏, for example, they want challenger brands to invest time in their staff, invest time in the panogram, understand the buyer archetype, understand the training that you give them is going to implement incremental sales for us and pull-through rate.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a knock-on effect. You can use a lot of the same tactic from a digital point of view to amplify what's going on in the footprint, but you need to get the foundations in store correct. So education, sampling, and then digital would be the way I'd look at it.
And how have you found partnerships? Because I know you've done stuff in the past with the Rugby World Cup.
That was a great one.
Yeah. I mean, so good up until that quarterfinal, but yeah.
Yeah. With that, I kind of like to say this story. With the Rugby World Cup, they paid our invoice in time before the competition.
How good is that?
It's amazing.
It's so good.
It just doesn't happen. They did that, but we went after the referees because at the time they're an underserved market.
Nice.
We knew we were going to get we knew we were going to get a good
few
exposure.
Personalities in there, your Wayne Barnes and the likes.
Carl Dixon as well when the upcoming, and we got on when they did the ref show on Netflix. Our product was in the background, all sort of things like that, and then we were fortunate enough to be able to use that logo in some of our marketing. So it worked out really well, really good partnership. They were great, and from my understanding, we're the only non-PLC business to have partnered with them during the World Cup, and we were only probably a year and a half old at the time.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And so has that kind of opened your eyes to different kind of non-traditional routes like that?
Definitely. There's a lot of ways of amplifying a brand and getting. I keep using the word social proof. Yeah. But that's the most important thing. People recognize it and feel comfortable. It makes you feel like you're a bigger brand than you are when you're competing against some of the larger businesses that we are. Yeah,
but I imagine that's all building your defensibility, because we keep touching on it, but it is a competitive space. So if you can, as you say, have these proof points, then people just naturally resonate and builds up that kind of moat.
Exactly, and it doesn't always have to be the big things like the Rugby World Cup. We held a brilliant breath work session then in the Ministry of Sound, and it was class. Nice. Cool environment, very cool tunes. Yeah. The tunes are kind of pumping. The guy Ben Bridwell doing the breath work session, really good. We had about 35 or 40 people there. We did a little Q&A afterwards. People loved it, and we've done like a bunch of other stuff. Like last month we had Nadia Power, the Irish sprinter, the Olympian sprinter. We did an event with her and her brand Swifter at FINA Gym in Boostown Avenue, and that was great. We had maybe 70 people at that. And, it's just, there's lots of ways of activating and bringing the community together. That you mightn't see an ROI on it directly, but inherently it does help. Because you're building brand credibility.
Yeah, but you can also look pretty at some of the bigger things. Like we're only around the corner from Regent Street, and you will see people clobbering up and down the street every day from those Gymshark run clubs.
Yeah.
£1 billion business, but they still think it's worthwhile going and getting a load of people to
Definitely.
Come down and build a community around it. So
social connection. People are crying out for it. Like you see the decline in alcohol sales. You see the want for connecting with people. I don't like using the word COVID anymore, but like there is still a hang up from it. People are looking to connect with other people, like-minded people, and those putting on events like that represent our brand in the way we want to, being a lifestyle supplement, and it just activates in the right way. And like it's not even about getting people to taste the product, it's about people having a good time. There's no egos. Like it's just completely. Come up, enjoy yourself, and have a good time. And like thankfully it served us well. Like we've shipped over 430,000 meals across the UK and Ireland, in a short enough period of time.
Cool. You go back 3 years ago and you're like, you're going to do it for you're like, right.
Yeah. So the next one is trying to get to the 500,000 mark. Is
not far off.
No, it's not. So that's the big push. So like, there's lots of really good things happening. Of course, the challenges is financing because it's capital intensive business, ensuring that you use the resources to the best of your ability, I think, and ensure that the product stays at that level.
Digging into kind of one of those challenges you kind of alluded to when you mentioned about the Rugby World Cup and they paid their invoice on time and like what an impact that has to cash flow. But as we all know, that's not really ever the case, and you're constantly in a hamster wheel trying to get cash in to then pay for that growth, whether it's for that TikTok campaign, that the activation. So how have you managed or thought about cash flow and financing over the last couple of years?
So one of our key team members is Val. He's like, I know everybody likes the word fractured CFO. But surround yourself with somebody who is really focused on the numbers. And like every founder is really focused on it, but as you grow out and you have different channels, you need to have the right people around you. We have done a couple of fundraising rounds. I mentioned Enterprise Ireland. They've been brilliant to us. We've used innovation grants. We've taken on angel investments, and we're just in the stage of closing out another round at the moment. But the reason why we're getting investment is because our metrics are there. Our foundations are strong with the repeat return customer base. The growth of the business is in a very healthy space. We're grown about 120 or 130% year on year.
Amazing.
Which is great. And like that's why people are backing us, and we have a great product. Yes, the noise is there because it's a creative space, but I think there's plenty of room for a challenger brand to take on number one and number two. So our immediate goal, for example, for the ready to drink product is become number two in the UK as quickly as possible. And then we'll start knocking on the door for number one is the idea.
𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗽.
You mentioned them, but like they're incredible success. Like for example, I've seen last week they just done 100 million in retail sales in the UK alone this year. It's phenomenal. But it
shows you the market's there.
The market's there. The highest search term in the category is alternative to the challenger brands, has been for the last 5 years. So there's lots of opportunity. People are looking for choice.
You mentioned Val and numbers. That's a great awareness. Not all founders are aware that they need different functions, and I think when it comes to looking at funding or finance, if those numbers aren't there, or those proof points like you mentioned, like the growth rates or the returning customer, if you can't articulate them clearly, the numbers, it's very hard to get any money. How have you? Did you knew that from the get-go?
No, I didn't. No. So you learn on the job. So like, as I mentioned, very lucky with the entrepreneurial background of family, they can give certain guidance. But until you start building out projections, until you start seeing data actually flowing through your documents and seeing what actual impact that has. So like you can look at CAC, you can look at your LTV, you can look, all of these metrics are really important. But until you see live data and actually how that actually impacts the bottom line and what your contribution margin is on a daily, weekly basis, you need to live and breathe the numbers. And like, yes, Val is amazing for this, but like we have, so we use some different technologies. We use Store Hero on 𝗵𝗿𝗆𝗆, for example, online. And we filter all our numbers through there on a daily basis.
Nice.
And then on a weekly basis, we get our sales from retail. We pump them all in.
Yeah.
And then
did you get it as like an email? I know we get like a daily email. It's called like daily numbers and monthly numbers. And you're just like, oh, what's it going to go?
You have a good feeling when things are going well.
Oh, but when they get the bad ones, you're just like, oh, look at this.
Oh, like, so it's interesting. So we went through a big cap strategy just on when you talk about numbers. Really profitable, but like just not spending. So your top line growth falls on. So it's about understanding the levers you need to pull and push at the right times for your business. By the way, growth isn't always the main thing. No. You need to be looking at profitability.
Oh, yeah, I know. Lovely. Yeah.
Like you know, that saying like
but I suppose how do you manage that when, say, maybe you're doing a funding round and they're just like lever, but then the other side you're like, well, this is quite nice because it's creating more margin within the business.
So I think we walked away from term sheets from institutional investment because I just think we weren't at that maturity yet. Yeah, and I think that. Some people might say it's madness, but it also takes a lot of confidence in your business to understand that, you might be able to get a ticket of $750 off one VC or institution. But for us at our stage, I think we're better off getting to the level where we are now, getting another round of really strong angels and institutional investors who are used to playing in the space, that we can go then, if we need to, into the next phase, look at that route, because we'll have
all the proof points,
all the facts are there. We'll also be able to show that our omni-channel strategy is working, and it's not just going to be finger in the air, kind of, not finger in the air, but projections, but like we have real live data, which is the main thing. But like it's difficult, like particularly when you think you have an investor that's going to add value, that they've had a chunky check which will immediately relieve a lot of pressure. Like financing a business at the moment in this current market is extremely challenging. And if anybody says differently,
they're lying to you.
Straight out lying to you.
It's bollocks.
So like we started to fundraise with an intention to close out in 4 to 6 months. Dragged out way longer. But that is also a good lesson in discipline. When you're
it's so interesting. You get so many good habits from having to live so frugally.
But like it does show that like what are the actual foundations of your business? Are you just over reliant on pumping money into Meta, or are you able to have a profitable business when you're doing big cap or any of these other strategies? It's the same, like if you're adding value in email. So I mentioned looking at emails like currency. The better our email sign up is, the better our conversion is, and it's such a low cost because we're adding value to the consumer. They're letting they can go take the quiz to know what the prescribed offering we'd suggest to them, or we're just giving them information around a category, not always on our product. So for example, we did an email which one of our better sales emails around VO2 max, nothing to do with our product.
But that's such a good, like, so many people don't get that. Like, so many people just want to bludgeon you over your head over the fucking thing. Like, I'm already signed up, I know what the product is. Like I'm interested in beetroot. Like, I want to know more about nitrate. Like, tell me more about that. But so many people don't know that.
There's a bunch of things around that you can add value on. It's just, you need to be really careful because there's so much option. If you just keep looking for the sale, you're going to lose the retention. You're going to lose your LTV. And then you're also going to break up, I think, the cyclical habit of the people using the product. So like we know if somebody signs up and they come back within 3 weeks, we have an 80% chance of getting them to their third order. So from order 1 to 2 is the big part. Once you get them past 2, the lifetime is a lot higher.
Amazing.
So there's loads of data points around that you need to really think about. And there's lots of tactics and ways of encouraging people to understand like what the benefits of a longer term subscription or usage of the product is.
One last thing I was really kind of curious to unpick as well, because you've so many competing things for brain space between looking at the data, how things are traction, raising money, think about the customer, omni-channel. But then you've also got multi-market. So you obviously touched on, you're in Ireland, you're in the UK. Enterprise Ireland can be brilliant at fostering relationships into other markets. How do you balance growing the customer base and where you are versus maybe expanding out?
So we brained it at the start. I'll be honest.
I'll be all brain it.
Yeah. So
it's just knowing you're braining it.
Yeah, reflect hindsight's 2020. So we thought we'd be able to ship all over Europe to start off with, and then we have shipped to over 28 countries around the world, which is a great number.
It's impressive.
Which is a great number.
Go back to your profitability metric there.
Go back to your fulfillment costs, your shipping costs, what's actually good for the business. That's not good for the business. Focusing on the UK and Ireland has been proper clarity.
Yeah.
So we have a fulfillment centre in Ireland, we have a fulfillment centre in the UK. Sales get pushed through that way.
Yeah.
Really focusing on those markets has moved the dial. 60% of our sales are now in the UK, which is great. So we want, the UK has 68 million people here.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity.
Massive.
Ireland has 4 or 5. So we're really focusing on the UK and Ireland markets. In time, we will look at other regions, but we wanted to isolate what we're doing and double down on it. When we look at our retail channel partners, there's kind of 5 sales channels. There's direct to consumer and Amazon. Amazon's been great to us as well more recently when we've launched there. There's forecourts, which would be more kind of Uber convenience, so RTD could look at there. There's large scale supermarkets, so like Dunnes, Tesco, Sainsbury's there. Then you have wellness, which would be gyms, Holland Bar, Boots, those sort of retailers. And then you have food service. You can't go at all 5 at once. You got to pick. Yeah, you got to pick your channel and double down on it, and then even just pick one person within each of the channels and ensure that you serve them correctly.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. So you can the idea of throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks is gone. You need to be able to go, right, these are the channels. We're going to maximize our reach within each of these, but at one at a time. And then understand, okay, what worked, what didn't work, and then build out from there. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah, well, you speak as a man who's gone through a lot of experimenting, and it's so cool to see. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for being so honest, being so transparent, and legitimately going from 0 packets to 430,000 packets sold is pretty incredible. So, can only imagine what the next 3-year cycle is going to look like. If you were to start WholeSupp today, would you do anything differently?
You're learning. There's learnings in everything, but so we have a saying is test, fail, learn, move on. There's learning in the ashes. So there's a bunch of things that you got to be able to learn from. You don't know what you don't know until you do it. So it's all about testing, learning, and iterating from it. There's definitely things we would have done. So for example, first packaging we ever brought out looked cool, what I thought looked cool. Loads of the dots on our packaging is a 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗏 sequence, so the sequence of life, which is kind of cool. Don't look at them for too long, they kind of make your eyes go goggly. But we just had our name going up to it. No one knew it's in the product. It was just you got to turn around. It's just marketing 101. Tell people what's into things. So we had to all rebrand. So that's one example.
Yeah.
But do I have regrets on some things we've done? I think probably we could have tested smaller at the start instead of jumping straight in. But that's part of the founder's journey. You gotta
have it.
Yeah, and you gotta fail.
Massively.
And just learn from it. There's, as I said, there's learning in the ashes. And just be humble enough to understand. But you're going to
be so much better if you recognize the fail.
Yeah.
Because then you won't do it again.
Yeah, and it's the same with test and ad assets. Same. There's loads of them going to tank.
Yeah.
You just got to
get. I wish we could delete some. But you look at some of the posts, and you're just
at the start, try to do social media on my own at the very start.
Yeah.
It makes you shiver. It's cringing.
Yeah. What's the biggest ick you get from brands in the supplement space?
Loads of false lies. It's full of it. It's and overhype on certain things. So you got to be able to. So for us, we just try to cut through the BS, give people what the facts are, but also trying to get our narrative and our tone of voice right. But I think there's a lot of miracle tablets, and it's just not there.
I'm just astounded by your 20% stat that you can put something into a tub or a bar or whatever and say, like, these are the ingredients, but they could be 20% out.
It's shocking.
That's mad.
Yeah. So we're part of like that testing program. It's the strictest testing program in the world. So like basically WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency, like holds this one at the highest credibility. So like it's brilliant. Obviously it adds another additional cost, but we believe it adds value to customers.
Yeah, because I think, going back to what we said, I do think the customers are getting more sophisticated and they are getting more educated. Yeah. So I think taking that line of actually really caring to the nth degree will pay dividends.
Big time. And like we see it. Like our customer service team, like most of our reviews are around our customer service team.
Yeah,
they're so great. Emily, Ruby, great.
Like, it's so funny when you go to the investors and they're like, just be on your Trustpilot and it just says a load of people. You're not supposed to be a technology company.
Well, like, that's the heart of the business.
Exactly. That's what it's. I'm like, what would you want? To be like some soulless thing?
That SaaS passport's great.
Yeah, amazing person. Yeah, but that's what you want. It's so cool to see it as well.
Yeah. So like, that's the difference. I think if you like, you gotta like. Ultimately, this business was made out of a personal need, but it's also there to look after people. It's a caring product. Like, you're trying to nourish people from the inside out. And customer service, every touch point you do, got to be curated in the right way. Not to say that we get it right all the time. It's impossible to get it right all the time. But if the intention is to have the right customer journey, the right feeling, the right intent is there, you're going to get it right most of the time.
Yeah. Amazing. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to any food business that's starting up?
Start with nothing, because you can start a brand on very little. So the best feedback we always get is when we do individual tasting. So if you go to a food market, you go to wherever it is, you can pitch up there. It'll cost you little to nothing, and you can actually sample your product. Get real life sampling. Don't get it from your family. Not everybody would be as direct as my family is, but thankfully they are.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, but I think that's probably the best way. And then look at the options around you to preserve capital. So, like, for example, the British Business Bank here, they'll give you, I think it's 20,000.
The startup loan. Yeah, we used it. It was amazing.
Yeah. We've used it as well. And like, there's access to capital that way that you can actually test before you dive head first in and double job, because you won't be able to. It takes so long. Everything you think, every timeline you put in, it gets pushed. Yeah, and that's unfortunate, because generally you're making a product, and if you're trying to scale the product, you're going to be the first person down the food chain to get into a production run. Yeah,
and you talk about data. I think we've probably done about 100 episodes. I think pretty much every one of them that has happened where we're like, we didn't hit that time. Like, it's always the way.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's frustrating, but that's the way. It's definitely a startup is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're able to stay in the fight for as long as possible, particularly when the times are harder, you're going to be the one who's successful, because you get to a certain level and people understand what you're doing. Means that you're doing something right, but then when you're looking to scale, you got to get the correct partners in. So preserving, using the growth levers when they're there, picking the right team, not being afraid to iterate the team when needed.
Massively, and managing your cost base effectively.
Exactly, like that. The fixed versus variable is a big thing for us. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Will. That was great. Really enjoyed that.